Hi, this is Mrs. Kidman, and in this video, we're going to be talking about different types of polynomial functions. Now, you have heard about some of these previously, but if you haven't, we're going to go over some of these other types. Now, there are lots of types of polynomial functions, even past these. We're just going to go through ones with degree 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But you also can find them with degree 0, with a negative degree, as well as, which are typically what we call rational functions, and you can also find some with higher degree than 5. But let's just talk about these ones. So linear function is typically in the form ax plus b. It's kind of how we see it. It is linear, meaning it is a line. And typically it doesn't really have a maximum or a minimum point. It just looks like that straight line there. And it can either be a straight line up or a straight line down. It has either one increase or one decrease. And that's kind of it for a linear polynomial function. A quadratic is typically in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And we see it two ways. We either see it open up or open down. And we call this point at the bottom the vertex, which is also known as the maximum or minimum of the function, because that is where it's located, either the lowest point on the graph or the highest point of our graph. A cubic function is in the form ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. And what it does is it has three movements. So notice how a line has one movement here. It just goes straight. It also might go straight down, but it's got one motion. A quadratic has two. It goes down and then up, or up and then down. Those are the two options for a quadratic. A cubic actually has three movements. It either goes up, up, or it goes down, up, down. So notice how it has those three movements here. Another name for a quadratic is actually called a parabola, is often what we call it. And this cubic function here kind of makes that curve. Now, when it comes to a quartic function, you can guess quartic means to the power of 4, as cubic meant to the power of 3. Quadratic is a degree of 2, and a linear is a degree of 1. So a quartic function is going to go ax to the 4th plus bx to the 3rd plus cx squared plus dx plus e. So notice how there are 5 terms there. And typically it has some sort of up, down motion, or a down, up motion. Now notice how these curves don't have to be consistent. We can change, but there are still 4 motions here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's a really great way to determine what type of polynomial function we have here, is how many times does it move. So a linear is either always up or always down. A quadratic switches one time up, one time down. A cubic has 3 motions, up, or down, up, down. A quartic has 4, so 2 ups and 2 downs. And our last one here is a quintic function, which is a degree of 5. And so it's going to be written as ax to the 5th plus bx to the not the 6th, oof, that would be long, to the 4th plus cx to the 3rd plus dx squared plus ex plus f. Oof, it barely fits on our page here. Wow. Okay, so what happens is notice how a linear function has 1 motion, a quadratic has 2, a cubic has 3, a quartic has 4, a quintic, like quintuplets where there are 5, means that our function has 5. So it's going to go up, down, up, down, up. It's going to go down, up, down, something like that. But we're going to end up getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 motions here. Either way, we're going to end up with 5 motions, and that's how we can decide what type of polynomial function it is. So let's take a look at a couple examples here, both equations and graphs, to decide what type of function we have here. So let's take a look at this first one. 3x squared plus 6x plus 4. Well, because it's a degree 2, we know that that's going to be a quadratic. This next one here has a degree of 4, which means that it is going to be a quartic function. And our last one here has a degree of 3, which means that this is a cubic function. Okay, let's take a look at some of these other ones. Now, these next 6 are all going to be graphs. So that means we need to count how many motions they have here. So let's take a look at this first one here. This one goes up, down, up. Because it has 3 motions, it is cubic. Our next one here, if we can move it, goes down, up, because it has 4 motions. This one is going to be quartic. Our next option here, it goes down and then up. It's that parabolic shape. So this one is a quadratic. Our next one, notice how it has 4 motions as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that makes this one a quartic. And what I want you to do is take a look at these last 2 and decide what they are going to be. Count the number of motions there. So if we have 1, 2, 3 motions, that makes this one cubic. And our last one has 1, 2, 3 motions, so that one makes this one also cubic. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, but that is how we can identify what type of polynomial polynomial function we have, whether it's from the equation or from the graph. Please check out the next video in which we discuss different ways to identify characteristics of polynomials when we graph them.